Okay, so today we're starting chapter 8. We're actually starting in the middle of the chapter. We're going to come back to the front part of the chapter later on in the year, towards the end of the year. Target and success criteria for today. I can simplify expressions with positive exponents. Success criteria. I can explain the difference between an exponent and a product of two numbers. I can write exponents in expanded form. I can simplify an expanded form exponent. I can describe the commutative property of multiplication, and I can describe patterns of a decimal when multiplied by 10 and its exponent, or powers of 10 is what we will call it probably. So your bell ringer today is just a little bit more practice on order of operations and absolute value. You can just type your answers in these boxes. If you want to show your work, that's also great. Our first question is 3 to the 5th power the same as 3 times 5, and justify your thinking? So in this box, you're going to type whether or not you think it's the same, and then justify why you think it is the same or is not the same. Then this is the meat of our lesson today. So you can always refer to your CP&M book if you want more information about what's going on here. I don't always type in all the words because honestly, CP&M has a lot of words. So in this exercise, what you're going to do here is you're going to look at the original form or the original expression. You're going to factor it out or expand it. So if 5 squared, well, that means it's 5 times 5. So you're just going to type in this box 5 times 5 for that one. And then we're multiplying it times a 5 to the 5th power. So then it's 5 times 5, times 5 times 5. How many do I have now? 1, 2. I need one more. Okay. So we've made these two numbers into expanded form. So my 5 times 5 represents my 5 squared. My 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s all multiplied by each other represents my 5 to the 5th power. Now I'm going to write that in simplified form, or put that in simplified form. So the way you would do that in Google Slides, well, the 5 is what we call our base. That's what we're multiplying. So 5 is going to be, how many 5s do I have? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to use 5 as my base. I'm going to type in a 7, and then the way that I can make that the exponent is I just highlight it, and I use the control. I have a Mac, so I use command period, but you can use control period on your Chromebooks, and that makes that an exponent. The other way you can do it is go up into format, go to text, again highlight it, and then choose superscript. So that would be the other way that you can make an exponent in Google Slides. So you're going to do that for the rest of these. Pay attention to bases have to be the same. The next slide talks about the commutative property of multiplication. We actually talked about this way early in the year, I think back in chapter 1, talking about how order does not matter when we multiply, kind of like addition. And so there's a couple problems here for you to think about. This one, you don't really have enough room to type anything, so just think about that one. You don't really have to type anything there. And then this last one, there is some room for you to type. And then the next two slides have to deal with when we have powers of 10. So this has more to do with our scientific notation, but thinking about what happens, and we've talked about this before, about what happens to a decimal or a number when we multiply by a 10. And so you're just going to simplify. So if I take 9 and 23/100 times 10, where's my 0 going to go? Do not use a calculator on the last two slides. Think about what's actually happening. If you need to write them down on a piece of paper and multiply them out, that's perfectly fine. But don't use a calculator on these last two slides. And again, on this one, you're just simplifying this expression here. And then you're done with the slides. Then you're going to go to, I did a review and preview for you today. So this is all in a Google Doc. You just have to basically fill in everything that's here. Remember, in your CPM ebook, you have homework help. So if you're stuck, you can go back to that homework help in your CPM book, and then that will help you figure out what your answers are for all of these problems. So that kind of sums up our answer or our lesson for today. On this last one, make sure you consult your homework help on this one, but I did put the formula in for compounded interest. We haven't actually taught that, so it's kind of a weird problem that they put in there. So maybe it's coming down the line. I'm not quite sure on that one. So it's just 2 pages. I have too many spaces in there somewhere, so then it goes on to the next page. But just 2 pages. So do the slideshow here, and then when you're done with the slideshow, then go ahead and continue on with your review and preview, and both of those should be submitted through Google Classroom by tomorrow at class time.